You read the title, which means you've either heard Ruler of Everything and know it's absolutely off-the-wall screwball bananas, or you haven't and clicked for the hell of it. Regardless, you're curious, and it's my job to feed that curiosity. But life's short, I don't want to waste your time, so I'll only tell you what you absolutely need to know to understand the internet's strangest song. Ruler of Everything is a song by indie rock band Tally Hall. It was released in many forms, but the version you've all likely heard comes off a 2008 re-release of the band's debut studio album, Marvin's Marvelous Mechanical Museum. That version would go on to spawn dozens of memes way back in 2020, which is probably why you clicked on this video. Ruler, as it's often shortened, was one of at least 6 tracks on the album written by Joe Hawley. Though he hasn't said much about the song since its release, we have learned bits and pieces from the man himself. In his 2006 Tally Hall website bio, he wrote, "Did you know Ruler of Everything is a song about time?" On top of that, he told an interviewer for Song of the Month, "I wrote Ruler for Tally Hall in one sleepless night when I was particularly preoccupied with the infinite. I'm usually consumed by the infinite to some degree." The infinite, in this context, is literal. Joe is famously obsessed with the concept of infinity. Infinite time? Yes. Infinite space? Yes. Infinite you? Absolutely not. That's the whole basis for the song, in fact. Time is infinite, humans aren't. With that and a bit of help from the fine folks over at Genius Lyrics, we can begin our breakdown of Ruler of Everything. I'm skipping past the intro for now because it's weird and much easier to explain with the context of the rest of the song. All you need to remember is the name Juno. He becomes important later. For now,
in the gallows or the ghetto, in the town or the meadow, in the billows, even over the sun.
Think of this section of the song like a pyramid. We start at the bottom, gallows and ghettos. These are where society's poorest and least fortunate live. They're low. Then above them, towns and meadows, comfortable, safe, warm, familiar. Then above that, billows, clouds up in the sky, fumes from a factory. Further, even beyond the clouds, is space, beyond the sun, an area for the most part beyond our reach. This section of the verse is a long and strange way of saying everywhere. Then,
every end of a time is another begun.
If we replace the first part of the verse with simply the word everywhere, we get everywhere, every end of the time is another begun. Time stretches everywhere, to what's below you, to what's familiar, to what's above you, to what's above that. Time touches all. And with time being infinite and all, what seems like the end never is. One time ends here, so another time can begin there. Time is not yours or mine or theirs, it's completely beyond us. Even an earlier version of this verse furthers this point. This lyric can be rephrased into sort of a riddle. What can't be stopped because it never began? Time. Though not everyone grasps this, which leads to our chorus.
You understand mechanical hands, all the roar of everything. I'm the roar of everything in the end.
The chorus is sung twice, once here at the beginning and repeated at the end. In this first iteration, it's almost like the speaker is asking a question. This question shapes the entire song. Time, or mechanical hands like those found on a clock, is the ruler of everything. Do you understand? Right backwards. Okay, so you may have noticed, the written lyrics don't match the spoken lyrics. Don't worry about that. There's many different versions of this line, and the fact that it's backwards is enough to cause lots of confusion on its own. Really, all you need to know is that our speaker doesn't think very highly of this other character, comparing them to a jackrabbit in both versions. Our speaker being time, as shown earlier in the chorus. Yes, one of the characters in the story is the concept of time. Trust me, we haven't even scratched the surface of weirdness. Time is going to get this dumb jackrabbit-like other character. Who is this person? Again, that's complicated. We'll say Juno for now as it's the only other name we're given and it fits pretty well, but just trust that there's more to this character than just that name. For now,
do you like how I dance? I got zirconium pants.
Sung by bassist Zubin Sedgi, this is how we're formally introduced to Juno. For being such a short song, we get to know the character of Juno very well. Even in this one line, we've learned 3 important things about him. 1, he gives importance to things that don't matter. For example, zirconium pants. Zirconium is an element often used to create fake diamonds. He has pants made of fake diamonds. Obviously, this is stupid, but it's also shallow. If you had diamond pants, at least they would show that you were wealthy. Fake diamond pants show that you only care about looking wealthy, so much so that you'd sacrifice comfort and common sense for it. Secondly, he's wasting his life. I know it's sort of a stretch to gather this idea from "do you like how I dance?" but hear me out. The dancing line could be taken literally, and Juno may just be so dumb that his instinct when meeting time is to bust a move. Alternatively, if we look at this from the lens of a metaphor, it fits the story already being told. Like when Time calls Juno a jackrabbit jumping around. Dancing in this context could again be referencing the futility of Juno's actions. He's clearly an idiot and he's wasting his life. Dancing, jumping, you get it. Third, we learn he's insecure. Again, take this situation literally for a moment. Time pops up in the life of this man, and what's his first instinct when meeting this concept? To ask for approval and brag about his shiny pants. And Time mocks him for it.
Consequential enough to slip you into a trance.
Another word for consequential is important or meaningful. Yes, your shiny pants are meaningful. Meaningful enough to distract you, slip you into a trance, cause you to waste your life away. Time ridicules Juno for prioritizing something so silly, not only owning zirconium pants, but bragging about it. Juno demonstrates his insecurity more openly with the lines,
"You like how I walk? Do you like how I talk?"
Much like in Juno's first line, he's asking for approval. The character is defined by how others see him. He's all appearances, even down to the way he walks and the way he talks. It's all engineered to make him look good. Why else would he seek approval for these things? You don't usually expect words of kindness for something you didn't put effort into. Already, we can gather that Juno is more than just a little insecure. In the next line, we learn why.
"Do you like how my face disintegrates?"
The mask of confidence slips here. Juno's voice distorts and deepens. Why? Because he's being honest. His face is his appearance, obviously, and his appearance is his life. It's all that matters to him. So if his face disintegrates into chalk, into nothing, so does he. He's describing his greatest fear in his native tongue. A brag. His whole life, what defines him, is a fear of his own mortality. But Juno hasn't come to terms with that fear yet. So the mask comes back up, and he starts bragging again.
"I have a wonderful wife, I have a powerful job."
Again, his pride doesn't come from himself. This guy is as deep as a pudding cup. He values himself not for who he is, but for what he feels he has accomplished. His wife, not a partner to share his love and adoration, merely a trophy which validates him. His job, not an outlet to create or help others, merely a way to prove that he has power. But at this point, bragging does him no good. The mask slips again.
"She criticizes me for being egocentric."
After trying to use his wife as a means to boost his ego, he's reminded of a more realistic side of his relationship. Sure, he sees his wife as a trophy, but she isn't one. She's a person who's sick of his shit. Juno, in this context, sort of catches himself. He notices that every attempt he makes at proving that he's cool only serves to make him sound more pathetic. What you'll notice is as the verse continues, Juno becomes more and more comfortable with honesty. At first he brags, then he hides the truth in a brag, and now he's just speaking truthfully. That's what triggers the laughter. Notice the parentheses. That isn't the same voice. That's Time laughing. Juno's ego has slipped enough that Time can stop mocking him and start tearing him down.
You practice your mannerisms into the wall.
Here, Time is saying,
Everything about you is fake. Even the way you speak and act, you rehearse incessantly. What defines you and makes you feel good about yourself is a front.
Juno tries to save face.
"If this mirror were clear, I'd be standing so tall."
He admits he looks bad right now, but he insists that deep down he has meaning. He is important. If you could just see the real him, if the mirror were clearer, you'd see that he matters. But there is no deep down. He's all surface level, remember? All zirconium, no diamonds. The character again only weakens his argument by opening his mouth. Time continues.
Saw you stubber over clovers on the side of the hill.
Clovers are a good luck charm. There's no science behind them. It's a conception of human culture that a clover has any importance at all. Juno clings to human concepts like luck to try to rationalize and control the universe. Not only does he collect these good luck charms, he slobbers over them. He obsesses over them. He gives them power, because that way he has power. A coping mechanism that Time scoffs at, but Juno tries to explain himself.
"I was observing the birds."
No, I wasn't making up fairy tales to try to rationalize nature. In fact, I was respectfully admiring nature.
the kill.
This part could be taken at face value as a reference to the birds themselves, like scavenger birds that fly in circles around dying animals and wait for them to, die. Though an explanation I like better comes from the fact that Time is singing this part. Notice the parentheses. Juno sings "I was observing the birds," Time sings "circle in for the kill." With this particular interjection, Time is saying that he knows the argument is almost over. Now it's time to circle in for the kill, hit him where it hurts once and for all.
I blame you, I know you, your facade is a scam.
Time is all. Time has been another version of Juno. Time observes all. Time has seen other versions of Juno, desperately trying and failing to justify their existence. Juno isn't special, and he knows it. That's why he's dedicated his whole life to looking special. Juno responds, and although the silly voice that Zubin puts on masks it, he's finally been broken.
No, you're making me cry, this is the way that I am.
Juno finally understands what Time has been trying to tell him, and it hurts. Time mocks this man, and you may too, but Juno isn't one man. He is man. He is mankind, humanity. That's why I predicted some people would be mad at me referring to this character as Juno, because he isn't a he. He's us. All humans define themselves by bullshit metrics. Smart and dumb, strong and weak, good and evil, big and small, it doesn't matter. Time sees all, time is all, time creates and ends all. Your height, your job, your wife, your pants, all make-believe. It's all just a means to an end. An excuse to find some meaning in a life that is defined by its meaninglessness. Can you tell this was written during an existential crisis?
I've been living a lie, a metamorphical scheme.
He gets it. Everything he thought mattered didn't. Everything he bragged about is garbage. Why? Well, the metamorphic and metamorphical scheme means marked by metamorphosis. A metamorphosis is a transition. What is life's greatest transition? Death. Juno's life was a scheme centered around his inevitable death. Now that he understands this, you'd think Time's mission is complete, but it's not.
Detective undercover brotherhood objective obscene.
I've seen plenty of confusion online over this lyric in particular. Even if you know this verse is a discussion between time and mankind, it doesn't really explain the undercover stuff. I personally see it as a hint towards greater things. He's paging this brotherhood, he's an undercover detective, and he's deemed the human objective obscene, meaning offensive to moral principles, repugnant. My guess, whoever this individual is, time or not, they're a part of something bigger. And whatever this brotherhood is, they want mankind to understand something beyond just a lack of importance, which is explored in the bridge.
Oh no, no, oh yeah.
Juno at first objects. Oh no, I disagree. Human existence can't be meaningless. Until Time convinces him. Oh yeah, maybe you're right. By giving up and agreeing with Time, Juno opens himself to Time's onslaught. The bridge approaches as the song speeds up and the drums kick in.
The flippity jibbity jibber jabber with it. Oh my god, I gotta get out of here. I have another word, sell another story to tell, another timepiece ringing the bell.
That was probably hard to understand, right? Too fast and messy? Well, that's the point. There's no use in trying to comprehend those lyrics because it's written to be incomprehensible. Juno is being shown human life from the perspective of the universe, of time. It's all just dumb gibberish, flibbity jibbity jibber jabber. What's in quotes is like a mocking interpretation of human thought. You'd think that this would stun our protagonist, but he's quick to ask a question.
Do you hear the clock stop when you reach the end?
Do you hear the clock stop when you reach the end? Death is the biggest thing. The greatest metamorphosis. Nothing that ever happens to you will compare to the moment you die. But for as important as it is, to quote Bobby Baccalieri from The Sopranos, you probably don't even hear it when it happens, right? The biggest thing that ever happens to us, and we can't even know it's happening. That's what Juno is asking. When I die, will I know? Do you hear the clock stop? Time responds.
No, you know, must be never really comprehended again.
You don't hear the clock stop, because the clock doesn't stop. Time goes on. The world keeps on spinning. Comprehend if you can.
When you try to attempt to understand, you resemble the fruit of evil image.
This line is really cool, because Time is saying that it isn't enough for Juno to simply understand his small position in the universe. He has to understand that he doesn't understand anything. That's why Time keeps singing after verse 2. Juno was still pissing him off. By trying to admit that he's meaningless, he was still giving himself too much credit. The only thing he's allowed to know is that he knows nothing. Stop trying to understand. Because you just can't. Like a circle trying to imagine a sphere, it's just not possible.
So give it up and smile.
Be dumb. The bridge repeats. Time is showing him that even this indescribable awakening, this red pill matrix moment, still doesn't matter. He pulled a goddamn SpongeBob and asked, "Wanna see me do it again?" As if the theme of the song wasn't clear enough at this point, time itself echoes its name. Now we repeat the chorus with a new meaning.
You understand mechanical hands, the ruler of everything. I'm the ruler of everything in the end.
When it was first sung, it was a question. Do you understand these things? Nope. Okay, let me explain. But it's not a question anymore. It's a statement of fact. You understand mechanical hands are the ruler of everything. I'm the ruler of everything in the end.
Without looking down, gliding around like a bubbling dragon I fly, scraping my face on the sky. Oh no, no, oh no.
This is Juno singing, the deepness of his voice again being a sign of enlightenment, of honesty. He thought he mattered, he thought he understood the world. Yet, much like Icarus, his hubris was his downfall. By trying to define the undefinable, explain the inexplicable, match the unmatchable, Icarus fell. Juno was beaten. And honestly, just completely decimated by time. Seriously, what did Juno even do to upset time so much? To get a spiritual awakening, an involuntary red pill from the concept of time. He must have pissed off someone really important. Intro!
Juno was mad, he knew he'd been had, so he shot at the sun with a gun. Shot at the sun with a gun. Shot at his wily one, only friend.
Juno is our protagonist. Contrary to popular belief, the name doesn't have much to do with the Roman goddess. Joe chose it because it's a female name tied to a highly feminine goddess, portraying a character with explicitly male pronouns, essentially making it androgynous, which fits the character not being a person, rather all people. Juno here in the intro is our character after the events of the story, immediately after the outro. He's learned now that his life has no meaning, that all human life is meaningless, that everything he's ever valued or cherished is a sham. He knows he's been had, and he's mad. Mad at the heavens. Perhaps that brotherhood that time was a part of was a group of celestial beings, like gods. He feels the need to lash out. He looks up at the sun, our closest tie to the heavens, and he shoots at it. The gun in this situation may also be metaphorical, referencing a rocket ship like one seen in the music video, but how literal the gun in this context is doesn't really matter. Whatever he shoots insults the sun. The sun is our closest friend cosmically. Its warmth is our reason for existing. Even later in the song, all of the universe is described in relation to a benchmark we understand. Over the sun. Offended by the man's ingratitude, the sun vows to teach Juno a lesson. And the song repeats. Just like time, the song never ends. Don't believe me? Put the music video on loop and just watch. Zoom out, zoom back in. Zoom out, zoom back in. Zoom out, you get it. Hey, it's a theory. Mine is one of many, and I'm sure plenty of you watching disagreed with something I said. So tell me about it. I love a healthy discussion in my comment sections. For now, I'm doomed to explain this video for the rest of time. If you're confused about anything, just right-click on the video and put it on loop. If not, please consider liking and subscribing. I've made a few other tally haul videos that you can check out. Anyways,